I am 70 years old, and there was a stretch of my life not so long ago when I stopped enjoying it. I did not decide to stop. Nobody decides that. It came on the way evening comes on, a little at a time, and then one day you look up and the light is gone out of everything. The food still fed me. It just did not taste like anything. The mornings still came. They just did not bring anything with them. And the things I had loved my whole life, the creek, the work of my hands, the sound of people I care about, they were all still sitting right there, and I walked past them like they were furniture. If that is your mornings right now, then stay with me, because I did find my way back. Not with medicine, and I will never speak a word against medicine. Not with a trip or a new thing bought. I came back by the old way. And I am going to tell you what it is, but I have to tell it in order, or it will sound too small to be worth anything. Let me first tell you how it looked from the inside, because I have found that most people who are in it do not have words for it, and having no words makes a person think they are the only one. It was not sadness. I want to be careful about that, because if I say sadness, you will picture a man weeping by a window, and that was not me. Sadness has a shape. Sadness has a reason, usually, and it has weight, and you can put your hand on it. This had no shape at all. This was flat. If somebody had come to my door and asked what was wrong, I could not have told them one true thing. Nothing was wrong. That was the strangest part of it, and I think that is the part that keeps people quiet about it for years. You cannot complain about a life where nothing is wrong. Here is what it actually looked like. I would get up before light out of habit, because a body that has risen early for 50 years does not know how to stop. I would make coffee. I would drink it standing at the window, looking at a piece of land I know better than my own hands, and I would feel nothing at all about it, not gratitude, not weariness, nothing. Then I would find something to do, and I did it well, because doing things well is also a habit. And at the end of the day I would sit down, and I could not have told you a single moment from those 16 hours that had reached me. The whole day slid off like water off oilcloth. And when people asked how I was, I said fine. I said it 1,000 times. It was the truest lie I have ever told, because I was fine. Nothing hurt. I just was not in there. Now, if you know what I am describing, you have probably already tried the two things everybody tries, and I tried them both. And I want to tell you why they did not work, because understanding that was the first door. The first thing everybody tries is to go get some joy. That is how we think about it, is it not? Like joy is a thing that exists out there, and you have run out of your supply, and you must go acquire more. So people take a trip. People buy the boat or the camper. People go to the big family gathering and stand in the middle of everyone they love. I did versions of all of it. And here is the thing nobody warns you about. You take the same flat man to the mountains, and what you get is a flat man at the mountains. The mountains were beautiful. I could see that they were beautiful the way you can see that a photograph is beautiful. But it did not get in. Wherever I went, I got there first and ruined it by being the one standing there. I will give you the worst of it, because I think somebody listening needs to hear that it happens to people who did everything right. My family put together a trip for me. They saved for it. They planned it around my knees and my stubbornness, and they took me to a place I had wanted to see since I was a young man. And I stood there in front of the thing I had wanted to see my whole life, with the people I loved standing beside me watching my face to see me light up, and I felt nothing, nothing at all. And then I did the thing I am least proud of in this whole story. I made a face for them. I performed being moved, because they had worked so hard for it, and I could not bear to be the man who felt nothing at the top of that mountain. And on the way home, I sat in the back of the car and thought, if that did not reach me, nothing is going to reach me, and I am going to be a man who acts out his own life for other people until it is over. If you have ever performed a feeling for people who love you, you know the particular loneliness of that. It is worse than the flatness. It is the flatness plus a secret. The second thing everybody tries is to try harder. Be grateful, they say. Count your blessings. And listen, I believe in gratitude. It is one of the oldest teachings there is, and it will come back into this story before we are done. But you cannot force it from the outside when the taste is gone. I sat down more than once and made myself a list of everything I had to be thankful for, and every item on that list was true, and I felt not one thing about any of it. That will make a man feel worse than he started, because now he has proof that he is ungrateful on top of everything else. So there I was, having tried the two doors everybody points at, and both of them locked. And I began to think this was simply what the end of a life looks like from inside. That the color goes out at a certain age, and you spend whatever is left managing a thing you used to love. I want you to hear that I believed that. For a good while, I believed that. That was wrong, and the man who showed me it was wrong did not say a single wise thing to me. He barely spoke to me at all, which is why I did not understand what was happening until much later. But before I tell you about him, I have to tell you the piece I had backwards, because if you do not have this piece, the rest will not land. I thought I had lost my joy. That is how I said it to myself. My joy is gone. And that turned out to be exactly the wrong way around, and it kept me stuck for a year, because when you think a thing is gone, you go looking for it somewhere else. What I had actually lost was not joy. What I had lost was my attention. Let me say that again, because it took an old man half a year of quiet to work it out, and I can hand it to you in a sentence. Joy is not a substance you run out of. Joy is what happens when your attention actually lands on something. And my attention had stopped landing. It hovered. It skimmed. It was always 3 inches above my own life, thinking about the next thing, the old thing, nothing at all. And a life that your attention never touches is a life you are not tasting, no matter how good it is. You can have everything a man could ask for and starve to death at the table if you never actually put your attention on the food. Now, knowing that did not fix it. I want to be honest with you about that too, because I have heard people give this kind of talk and make it sound like the moment you understand a thing, you are healed. It does not work that way. I understood it, and I was still flat the next morning. Understanding is not the same as doing, and the doing is what I got from that old man I mentioned. What he had me do was so small that when I tell you, you may feel let down. That is the honest risk of this whole talk. So let me first tell you why the small thing works, and then I will tell you what it was, and you will not laugh at it. But there is one more thing standing in the way, and it is the thing I hear most from people my age, so let me deal with it now. When the taste goes out of things, we pull back. It is the most natural movement in the world. You stop calling. You let the invitations pass. You tell yourself you prefer the quiet now, and there is truth in that, because there is a peace in your own house that the world does not give you. I hear it from people all the time, and I said it myself. People seem false to me now. The talk is all on the surface. I would rather stay home. I understand it. I lived it. But here is what I have to say to you about that, gently, because I am not scolding anybody. Pulling back feels like rest, and it works like a drain. Every week you stay in, the next week is a little harder to go out. The world does not close its door on you all at once. You close yours a quarter inch at a time, and then one day it will not open easy anymore. And the cruel part is that it does not feel like a decline while it is happening. It feels like peace. It feels like finally being left alone. I was very peaceful that year, and I was disappearing. I can tell you the exact week I understood how far it had gone. A man I had known 40 years stopped by without calling, the way people used to do, and I stood at my own door and felt my chest tighten, and I hoped he would not stay long. 40 years. A man who had helped me put a roof on, and some part of me wanted him gone so I could get back to doing nothing in an empty house. He stayed 20 minutes, and I was polite the whole time, and I counted every one of them. When his truck went back down the road, I sat in the quiet I had wanted so badly, and I felt the wrongness of it, and I still did not know how to want anything different. That is the part I would want somebody to catch early, before it costs them 4 or 5 friendships they cannot get back at our age. So that is the whole shape of the hole, the flatness, the 2 locked doors, the attention that would not land, and the quiet retreat that feels like peace. That is where I was when I met the old man, and I am going to tell you about him now, because everything I have that is worth giving you came out of what he had me do. He was older than I am now. He lived up past the last house on the road, and I went to him for a practical reason that had nothing to do with any of this. I was bringing him something, I do not even remember what, and he was slow, and I was in a hurry the way people are when they are running a life they do not feel, so I set the thing down and turned to go. And he said, "Sit down a minute." I sat down out of manners, and we did not talk. That is what I remember most clearly. We sat on his step, and he did not fill the air with anything. After a while, he pointed his chin at a bird working the ground at the edge of his yard, and he said, "That one has been coming since the frost." And then he did not say anything else about it. We watched the bird do what a bird does for what must have been 3 or 4 minutes, which is a very long time to watch a bird when you are a busy man with an empty middle. And I did not have a revelation. Nothing lifted. I want to be truthful about that. I went home, and I was as flat as I had been that morning. But I went back the next week. I do not entirely know why, and we did it again. And somewhere in the 3rd or 4th of those visits, sitting on that step being quiet with an old man, I noticed the light coming through the leaves, and I noticed I was noticing it, and something in my chest moved for the first time in longer than I could remember. It was very small. It was not happiness. It was more like a person who has been numb for a winter feeling the first ache of blood coming back, which is not a pleasant feeling and is the best possible sign. That is the old way. I told you I would tell you, and I am telling you. It is attention given on purpose to one small real thing every single day before you feel like it. Now, I warned you it would sound small. Here is why it is not. The old ones did not have our word for what happened to me, but they built their whole days against it. Everything was noticed out loud. You thanked the water before you drank it. You looked at the sky in the morning and said something about it. You greeted the plants you were about to take from. When people did that every day of their lives, we call it reverence, and it is. But I want you to see the other thing it is. It is a lifetime of training your attention to land. Those people were not being polite to the water. They were keeping the door of their own attention oiled and open every day so that when the good came, it could actually get in. And a person trained like that can be poor, can be old, can have buried half the people he loves, and still taste his coffee. We are the first people in the history of the world who go a whole day without deliberately looking at one single thing. And then we wonder why the light has gone out. So this is what I did, and it is what I would ask you to do. And I want you to notice how small I am keeping it, because small is the whole point. One thing a day, on purpose, long enough to be boring. One thing. Not a walk in nature. Not a gratitude practice with a notebook. Not a program. One thing that is really in front of you. The steam off the cup. The tree outside the window that you have looked at 10,000 times and never once seen. A bird working the ground. Your own hand, honestly, the back of your own hand, which has done everything you have ever done. Look at it until it gets boring, and then keep looking a little past the boring, because just past the boring is where it starts to come back. Do it before you feel like it. That is the part people miss. You will not feel like it. Feeling like it comes after, not before, and if you wait to feel like it, you will wait the rest of your life. I did it for weeks with no feeling at all, like a man doing exercises on a leg that has no sensation in it because the old man did it and he was the least dead person I had ever met. And then, sometime in that first month, I came down to the creek, not for a reason. And I stood there and I actually heard it, the way I heard it when I was 7 years old. And I stood there a good while and I went back up to the house and I could taste my supper. That is not a miracle. That is a door that had been shut and was not shut anymore. There is a second half to it, and I will keep it short because it grows from the first. Once your attention will land on a thing, it will land on a person. That is, when you can go back out among people, and it will not feel false the way it did, because half of what made it feel false was that you were not really there for any of it. Surface talk stays surface when nobody is actually attending. Give a person your whole attention for 2 minutes, the way that old man gave it to a bird, and watch how fast a surface conversation stops being one. That is how I came back out of my house, not by making myself sociable, by becoming able to be present and letting the rest follow. So, tomorrow morning, not next week, tomorrow, pick your one thing before you get up out of the chair. Coffee, tree, hand, bird, sky, and give it more attention than it deserves before you feel like it, and be willing for it to do nothing at all the first several times. You are not chasing a feeling, you are oiling a door. I am 70 years old, and I got it back. Not all at once, and not because anything in my circumstances improved, because nothing did. The same land, the same knees, the same losses. What changed is that I am in here now. I taste my food. I hear the creek. And when somebody asks how I am, I have to think about the answer, which is how you know it is finally the truth. Do not wait until you feel like it. Rest tonight and start tomorrow with one small thing, and let it be boring, and let it work.